The hook. The city never sleeps, but it watches. Seoul's neon heartbeat pulsed through the rain-slick streets as Amara Chen pulled her hood lower, navigating the crowded Gangnam sidewalks with practiced invisibility. 3 years. 3 years of being no one, and she'd perfected the art of blending into the chaos. Tonight felt different. The hairs on the back of her neck had been standing at attention since her shift started at Seoul General Hospital. Call it instinct. Call it paranoia. Call it the residue of a life she'd left buried in the dark. Amara, Trauma Bay 2. Her supervisor's voice cracked through the controlled chaos. She grabbed her kit and moved. Muscle memory from another life kicked in, the kind of efficiency that came from years of precision work. Different tools now. Scalpels instead of blades. Saving lives instead of. Don't go there. The automatic doors burst open. Time slowed. A man stumbled in, supported by 2 others in expensive black suits. Even bleeding, even pale, he moved like a predator, graceful, controlled, dangerous. His dark eyes swept the ER with calculated assessment before landing on her. For a heartbeat, the world stopped. Those eyes. Cold. Intelligent. Lethal. And looking at her like he could see straight through the mask she'd worn for 3 years. GSW to the shoulder, one of his men barked. He needs. I've got him.
Trauma
Amara's
team with me
voice
now.
came out
Status on the
steadier than she
patient?
felt.
Vitals unstable.
Trauma
All right.
too.
Get the crash
Now.
cart. Prep for intubation.
She didn't ask questions. Not about the expensive suits soaked in blood. Not about the way his men positioned themselves like bodyguards. Not about the unmistakable bulge of weapons under their jackets. In Seoul's underworld, some patients came with more shadows than others. What's your name? His voice was silk over steel, surprisingly steady for a man with a bullet in his shoulder. The nurse stitching you up. She pressed gauze to the wound, applying pressure. Stay still. Bossy. A ghost of a smile played on his lips. I like that. And I like patients who don't bleed out on my table. Funny how preferences work. One of his men tensed, hand moving toward his weapon. The injured man raised his good hand slightly, a subtle gesture that froze his guard mid-motion. Power. This man breathed it. Stand down, J1. His eyes never left Amara's face. The lady is trying to save my life. It would be rude to shoot her for having a sharp tongue. I have sharp scissors too, Amara replied, threading her suture needle. Keep annoying me and you'll find out how sharp. He laughed. Actually laughed. The sound was rich and unexpected, drawing stares from the other staff. You're interesting. His gaze intensified. I'm Kang Minya. And you just became the most interesting part of my evening. Warning bells screamed in her head. That name. She'd heard whispers, Seoul's underground king, the shadow that moved billions in the dark, the man who owned half the city's power players. And she was stitching him up. Fascinating, she deadpanned, focusing on her work. I'm honored to be tonight's entertainment while you leak on my floor. Amara. Her supervisor appeared, tablet in hand. We need your signature for. Crack. The sound split the air. Glass exploded. Amara's training took over before her brain could catch up. She saw the red laser dot dancing across Minute J's chest. Saw the trajectory. Saw the inevitability. 3 years of hiding. 3 years of being invisible. Gone in one split-second decision. She dove. The bullet that was meant for his heart buried itself in her side instead. Pain. White-hot. Blinding. Worth it. She hit the ground, Minute J beneath her, her body shielding his. Around them, chaos erupted. Screaming, running, his men drawing weapons, alarms blaring. But all she felt was his hand, suddenly at her waist, warm and steady. You're insane, he breathed, eyes wide with something between shock and admiration. You're welcome, she gasped, blood seeping through her scrubs. Then the world tilted. And everything went dark. Awakening to chaos. Pain dragged her back to consciousness. Moving her is suicide, we need to stabilize. Then stabilize her faster. That voice. Minute J's voice, but colder. Sharper. The warmth from earlier completely gone. We have maybe 3 minutes before they send a second team. Amara's eyes snapped open. She was on a gurney, the ER a war zone around her. Monitors beeped frantically. Blood, so much blood. Some of it was hers. Welcome back, Minute J said, appearing above her. He'd thrown a jacket over his bandaged shoulder. In his good hand, a gun, held with the casual comfort of someone who'd been born with one. That was incredibly stupid, by the way. Saving your life. She tried to sit up. Terrible idea. Her side screamed in protest. No. He pressed her back down with surprising gentleness. Making yourself a target. I didn't. Bang, bang, bang. Gunfire. In the hospital. Amara's blood ran cold. They're here, one of his men reported, weapon drawn. 6 hostiles, coming through the main entrance. Minute J's jaw tightened. He looked down at her, and something flickered in those cold eyes. Decision. Calculation. Possession. Can you walk? Can you stop asking stupid questions? She swung her legs off the gurney, ignoring the wave of dizziness. Who's shooting up my hospital? People who want me dead. He steadied her with one hand. And now, people who want you dead too. Congratulations, you've made very dangerous enemies tonight. Story of my life, she muttered. His eyes sharpened. I doubt that. Before she could respond, the ER doors exploded inward.
Hands up now!
Men in tactical gear flooded in, weapons raised. Amara's training screamed at her. Positions, angles, threat assessment. Things a nurse shouldn't know. Things she definitely shouldn't do. But when one of them aimed at Minute J, her body moved on instinct. She grabbed a surgical tray and hurled it. Metal instruments scattered like shrapnel. The gunman stumbled, shot going wide. Minute J moved like lightning. One shot. The man dropped. Rooftop, he barked to his men. Extraction in 5. What about the patients? Amara demanded. What about your life? He grabbed her hand. They're not here for them. They're here for me. And now, for you. Move. She moved. They ran through the chaos, Minute J's men laying down covering fire. Staff were screaming, diving for cover. Amara's mind raced. Innocent people, caught in this nightmare. The stairs, she gasped, pulling him toward a service exit. Faster than the elevator. You know the layout well. I work here. You fight like you've done more than work here. She didn't answer. Couldn't. They burst into the stairwell. Behind them, gunfire echoed. Up, Minute J commanded. The roof. That's not a suggestion. They climbed. Her side was on fire, blood soaking through the bandage someone had hastily wrapped. But she didn't stop. Couldn't stop. Because below them, heavy footsteps thundered. They were being hunted. Rooftop escape. The roof access door slammed open. Sol's night air hit them. Cold, polluted, beautiful. Now what? Amara panted, pressing a hand to her bleeding side. We are trapped. Minute J pulled out his phone, typed something rapid. We are leaving. How? Flying. Close enough. Before she could process that, the stairwell door behind them exploded open. 4 men, all armed, all advancing. Get behind me, Minute J ordered. Not really my style, Amara replied, grabbing a metal pipe from the rooftop maintenance area. He shot her an incredulous look. You're injured. You're wounded. Guess we are both stubborn. The attackers opened fire. Amara moved on pure instinct. She'd spent 3 years trying to forget this muscle memory, but her body remembered every lesson. Duck. Roll. Strike. The pipe connected with a kneecap. The man went down. Minute J fired twice. 2 more dropped. The last one rushed her, too close for Minute J to shoot without hitting her. She spun, using his momentum, and drove her elbow into his solar plexus. He gasped, doubled over. Minute J's gun pressed against his head. Who sent you? The man laughed, blood on his teeth. You're already dead, Kang. And so is your little nurse. Minute J's finger tightened on the trigger. Thump, thump, thump. The sound of helicopter blades filled the air. A sleek black chopper rose above the roof's edge, side door open. Our ride, Minute J said calmly, then pulled the trigger. Amara flinched as the man dropped. Come on. Minute J grabbed her hand, pulling her toward the helicopter. I can't just. I have a life, I have. You have a target on your back now. He turned, eyes fierce. You saved my life. Let me return the favor. The helicopter hovering, just close enough. Minute J jumped first, then reached back for her. Amara looked back at the roof, at the bodies, at the door where more attackers would come, at the life she'd built crumbling in one night. She jumped. His hand caught hers, strong and certain, pulling her into the helicopter. They lifted off immediately, soul spreading below them like a sea of lights. Who are you? She finally asked, though she already knew the answer would change everything. Someone who just became very interested in who you really are. He studied her with those lethal eyes. Because nurses don't move like that. Don't fight like that. I took self-defense classes. Bullshit. He leaned closer. You took assassination training. Her blood froze. I don't know what you're. The way you assessed threat levels. Your reaction time. That throw. That elbow strike. His smile was dangerous. I've worked with enough killers to recognize one. Silence. Just the helicopter blades cutting through the night. Who? You. Not a question. A demand. Amara met his gaze. 3 years of hiding, and it took one bullet, one man, one night. Someone who was trying very hard to not be found. Trying. Failed, apparently. His phone buzzed. He glanced at it, expression darkening. We have a problem. Another one. They know who you are. Real name. Past employment. Everything. He looked up. Congratulations, Amara Chen. You're now Seoul's most wanted woman. Wanted by who? The Jade Serpents. My enemies. His smile was blade sharp. Which means you're mine now. Excuse me. You saved my life. That's a debt. In my world, debts are sacred. He extended his hand. Work for me. I'll protect you. I'm not an assassin anymore. No, you're something better. An assassin who chose to save a life instead of take one. His eyes gleamed. I can use that. And you need me, whether you want to admit it or not. Amara looked at his hand. At the city below. At the blood on her clothes. 3 years of peace, gone. What exactly would I be doing? Whatever it takes to keep us both alive. He tilted his head. And maybe, if you're good enough, help me destroy everyone who came after us tonight. Against every instinct, every lesson learned, every promise she'd made herself. She took his hand. His grip was firm. Possessive. Good choice. His smile was devastating. Welcome to the shadows, Amara Chen. The safe house. The helicopter touched down on a private helipad atop a building that screamed money and power. Minute J's men were already waiting, weapons ready, eyes scanning for threats. This way. Minute J kept his hand on her back, proprietary and protective. They descended into a penthouse that looked like it belonged in an architecture magazine. Floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking Seoul. Minimalist luxury. And underneath all the elegance, cameras, reinforced doors, panic room access. A fortress disguised as a home. Sit. He guided her to a leather couch. Medical kit, now, he barked at one of his men. I can take care of myself, Amara protested. You've lost a lot of blood. He crouched in front of her, eyes scanning her wound with professional assessment. And you took a bullet meant for me. Humor me. His man returned with a comprehensive medical kit. Minute J opened it, hands steady and sure. You've done this before, Amara observed. In my line of work, field medicine is a required skill. He cut away her bloody scrubs, clinical and focused. This is going to hurt.
Careful,
not my first, she hissed as he cleaned the wound.
Thank
Bullet.
you, Minjay.
His eyes flicked up to hers. I'm starting to see that. She gritted her teeth as he worked. Efficient, careful, surprisingly gentle. Those same hands that had killed 3 men tonight were now meticulously treating her wound. Contradiction. This man was a walking contradiction. You're good at this, she admitted. I've had practice. He taped the bandage. Unfortunately. Their faces were close now. She could see the flecks of amber in his dark eyes. Could smell his cologne under the antiseptic and gunpowder. Thank you, he said quietly. For what you did. You already thanked me. By dragging me into your war. Our war now. He stood, offering his hand again. And you're not dragged, you jumped. Temporarily insane. Or finally honest about what you are. He pulled her to her feet. A fighter. A survivor. Someone who chooses who lives and dies. I'm trying not to be that person anymore. Maybe that person is tired of hiding. Before she could respond, his phone rang. He answered, face going hard. What? A pause. How? Another pause. Understood. He hung up, eyes meeting hers with lethal intensity. What? Amara asked, though she dreaded the answer. Your apartment was hit 20 minutes ago. Completely destroyed. They were looking for you. Her stomach dropped. My things are gone, but things can be replaced. He stepped closer. Your life can't. They know where you lived, where you worked, probably who you talked to. Every part of your carefully constructed life is compromised. So what now? Now. His smile was cold. Now you stay here. Under my protection. In my world. For how long? Until we eliminate the threat. He tilted his head. Or until you decide you like it here. I won't. We'll see. He turned toward the windows, hands in his pockets. You're free to leave anytime, Amara. But the moment you walk out that door, you're alone. Hunted. With nowhere to hide. She wanted to argue. Wanted to tell him she'd been alone before, had survived worse. But her side throbbed. Her home was destroyed. And the look in his eyes said he knew exactly what he was offering. Safety, protection, purpose. A cage made of gold. One condition, she finally said. Name it. No more killing unless absolutely necessary. He turned, eyebrow raised. That's rich, coming from someone with your background. That's exactly why I can say it. She met his gaze. I know what that cost is. Do you? Silence stretched between them. Testing. Measuring. Fine, he finally agreed.
No unnecessary killing.
But necessary is defined by survival. Fair enough. Then we have a deal. He extended his hand one more time. Partners. She shook it. His hand was warm, strong, with calluses that spoke of violence and control. Partners, she echoed. His smile was slow, dangerous, and entirely too knowing. Get some rest, Amara Chen. Tomorrow, we start hunting the people hunting us. And if they come tonight, then you'll see exactly why they call me the Soul Shadow. His eyes glinted. And they'll see why it was a mistake to make you my enemy. The call. Amara stood under the hot shower, watching blood swirl down the drain. Her blood. Minute J's blood. Stranger's blood. One night. Her entire life had shattered in one night. She pressed her forehead against the cool tile. 3 years. 3 years of being invisible, and it took one impulsive decision to drag her back into the darkness. But you saved a life, a voice whispered. Isn't that why you left? She'd left because she was tired of the blood. Tired of being a weapon. Tired of not choosing who lived or died. Tonight, she'd chosen. And maybe that's what terrified her most. The water ran cold before she finally stepped out. Minute J had left clothes for her. Expensive, perfectly sized. Of course he'd known her measurements. Men like him knew everything. She dressed and emerged to find the penthouse quiet. Most of his men had dispersed. Just 2 guards at the entrance, professional and distant. The Seoul skyline glittered through the windows. Somewhere out there, people wanted her dead. Her phone was on the coffee table. She'd asked Minute J for it back, a small rebellion, a thread of her old life. It buzzed. Unknown number. Her hand hesitated. Every instinct screamed trap. But she'd never been good at following safe instincts. She answered. Hello, Phoenix. That voice. That name. Amara's blood turned to ice. You're dead, she whispered. Disappointed. Her old handler's voice was smooth, amused. I'm harder to kill than you thought. What do you want? You know what I want. You've been off the grid for 3 years. I let you have your little vacation. His tone hardened. It's over. Time to come home. I don't have a home with you. Oh, darling. You never stopped having a home with me. You're mine. You've always been mine. A pause. And now you've gotten tangled up with Kang Minute J. Sloppy. How did you? I know everything. Every move. Every breath. His voice dropped. You have 48 hours to extract yourself from his organization and return. Or I'll burn his entire empire to the ground. Starting with him. You can't. Can't I? I made you, Phoenix. I can unmake anything you touch. The line went dead. Amara stood frozen, phone trembling in her hand. Bad news. She spun. Minute J stood in the doorway, changed into fresh clothes, looking every inch the predator he was. How long have you been standing there? Long enough. He walked closer, eyes sharp. Who was that? She could lie. Should lie. But he'd figure it out anyway. Someone from my past. The past that made you an assassin. The past that owns me. The words tasted like ash. Or thinks it does. Minute J stuttered her, reading between every word, every micro-expression. They threaten me. Not a question. They threaten to destroy everything you've built if I don't go back. And what? Are you going back? Amara met his eyes. Saw the test there. The calculation. This was it. The moment he'd decide if she was an asset or a liability. No, she said firmly. I'm not. Even though they'll come for me. They were already coming for you. She straightened. This just makes them come faster. A slow smile spread across his face. Not the charming one from earlier. This was different. Darker. Thrilled. You know what that means. Va. War, he confirmed. Between two of the most dangerous organizations in Asia. My empire versus your old masters. I'm sorry. Don't be. He moved closer until they were inches apart. I was getting bored anyway. You're insane. No. His hand came up, tilting her chin. I'm interested. There's a difference. They want to threaten me? Let them try. They want you back. His eyes burned. They'll have to go through me first. Why are you doing this? Because you jumped in front of a bullet for me. Because you could have run a dozen times tonight and didn't. Because, his thumb brushed her cheek, you're the first interesting thing to happen to me in years. That's not a good reason to start a war. Maybe not. His smile was wicked. But it's my reason. And in my world, that's all that matters. Amara should pull away. Should run. Should do anything except stand there, trapped in his gaze, feeling her carefully built walls crumbling. You're going to regret this, she whispered. Probably. He stepped back, breaking the spell. But I've never regretted anything interesting. And you, Amara Chen, are very, very interesting. He walked toward his office, then paused at the door. Oh, and Amara. Yes. Next time your past calls. His smile was blade sharp. Put it on speaker. I'd like to introduce myself properly. The door closed behind him. Amara stood alone in the penthouse, soul glittering outside, blood still on her hands, past and present colliding. 3 years of hiding. Gone in one night. Because she couldn't let a stranger die. And now, war was coming. She looked at her phone. At the city. At the closed office door hiding a man who just declared war for her. What have I done? She whispered to the empty room. The city didn't answer. But somewhere in the darkness, her past was already mobilizing. And her present was sharpening its knives. To be continued. The phone was still ringing when the window exploded. Amara dropped flat as bullets tore through Minute J's penthouse, shredding the leather couch where she'd been sitting 3 seconds ago. Glass rained down like deadly confetti. Down. Minute J tackled her behind the marble kitchen island, his body covering hers as gunfire erupted from 3 directions. I thought this place was secure, she shouted over the chaos. It was. His jaw clenched, eyes cold as winter. Which means someone inside gave them the access codes. He rolled off her, pulling 2 guns from under the island in one smooth motion. Tossed one to her without looking. She caught it midair, Check the clip. Full. You keep loaded weapons in your kitchen. I keep loaded weapons everywhere. He flashed that dangerous smile. Welcome to my world, Amara Chen. Then he was up, returning fire with deadly precision. The penthouse battle. Amara counted 6 attackers, professionals, judging by their tactical formation. They'd breached from the balcony, the service entrance, and somehow the private elevator. This wasn't a random hit. This was coordinated. She popped up from cover, dropped 2 men with clean headshots, ducked back down. Your security team is terrible. They are dead. Minute J's voice was flat, emotionless. He fired 3 rounds, each one fatal. Found them in the stairwell on my way up. Ice settled in her stomach. How many people knew you were bringing me here? 4. He ejected his empty magazine, slammed in a fresh one without breaking eye contact. And one of them just tried to kill us. An attacker rushed their position. Amara swept his legs. Minute J put a bullet between his eyes before he hit the ground. They moved like they'd been partners for years, not hours. Nice teamwork, she said, breathing hard. We are just getting started. He grabbed her hand, pulled her toward the panic room door hidden behind a false wall. Move. They burst through as an explosion rocked the penthouse. Amara felt the heat wave slam into her back, throwing them both down the reinforced stairwell. Minute J caught her before she could tumble down the concrete steps, spinning so he took the impact against the wall.
I got you.
His grunt of pain was the only sound he
Stay
made.
with me.
You
trying.
okay? She asked, sprawled across his chest, their faces inches apart. Better now. His hand was on her waist, the other cupping the back of her head. That infuriating smirk played at his lips even with blood trickling from his temple. You know, most first dates don't involve this much gunfire. This is not a date. Really? Because you're definitely on top of me right now. She shoved off him, ignoring the warmth spreading through her chest. You're impossible. You're beautiful when you're annoyed. He stood, winced, pressed a hand to his ribs. Come on. There's a tunnel system beneath the building. Of course there is, she muttered, following him down. The underground escape. The tunnel was cold, dimly lit, clearly designed for exactly this scenario. Their footsteps echoed off concrete walls as they ran deeper into Seoul's underground. Where does this lead? Amara asked. Multiple exits. Safe houses. Secondary armories. He was limping slightly but maintaining pace. I don't trust easily, but I prepare obsessively. Paranoid much. Alive much. He stopped at an intersection, pulled out his phone. Frowned. That's odd. What? I'm getting a signal that my warehouse in Gangnam is under attack. He looked at her, something dark crossing his face. The one where I keep my most valuable assets. Assets. Information. Blackmail material. Leverage. His thumb hovered over the screen. Evidence that could destroy half of Seoul's elite. If they get it. Gunfire erupted from behind them. Flashlight beams cut through the darkness. They followed us into the tunnel. Amara raised her weapon.
No.
Minute J's voice was deadly calm. They were waiting for us. This was hurting. He grabbed her wrist, yanked her into a side passage. Run. They sprinted through the maze of tunnels, explosions echoing behind them. Minute J navigated without hesitation, muscle memory from years of planning escape routes. There. He pointed to a service ladder. Up. They burst out through a manhole cover into an alley behind a nightclub. Bass music thumped through the walls. Neon lights painted everything in shades of purple and pink. A black SUV screeched around the corner, heading straight for them. Minute J pulled Amara against the wall, his body shielding hers, his hand fisted in her hair. She could feel his heart hammering against her chest, or maybe that was hers. The SUV stopped. The window rolled down. Boss. A young man with silver hair and an anxious expression leaned out. Get in. Your warehouse is. I know. Minute J pulled Amara toward the vehicle. How bad? 20 attackers. Our men are holding, but barely. They piled into the SUV. Amara found herself pressed against Minute J in the backseat as the driver floored it. Who's hitting us? Minute J's voice was ice. Don't know yet, boss. They are professionals. No insignias, no communication we can intercept. Someone with resources. Minute J's arm was around Amara's shoulders. Whether protective or possessive she couldn't tell. Someone who knows my infrastructure. She looked up at him. The mole. The mole. His jaw clenched. And when I find them, I'm going to enjoy making an example. The way he said it sent a shiver down her spine. Part fear, part something else entirely. The warehouse assault. They arrived to chaos. The warehouse was a concrete fortress, but smoke billowed from blown-out windows. Gunfire crackled. Bodies littered the perimeter. They really want whatever you've got in there, Amara observed, checking her weapon. They're not getting it. Minute J exited the SUV like a man walking into a business meeting, not a war zone. Ji-hoon, rally our forces on the east side. Create a corridor. Boss, you can't just walk in there. Watch me. He looked at Amara. Stay in the. Finish that sentence and I'll shoot you myself. She stepped out beside him. I saved your life twice tonight. I'm invested now. That smile again. The dangerous one that made her stomach flip. Has anyone ever told you you're magnificent when you're threatening me? Focus, Romeo. Yes, They advanced on the warehouse in a tactical formation. Minute J's remaining men providing cover fire. Amara moved with the precision of her training. Muscle memory from 3 years of hiding couldn't erase a decade of being a weapon. She caught an attacker trying to flank them, disarmed him with a move her handler had drilled into her 1,000 times, used him as a human shield against his partner's gunfire. Min Jae glanced over. Remind me never to get on your bad side. Too late for that, she shot back, dropping the body and advancing. They breached the warehouse through a side entrance. Inside was a maze of shipping containers and steel shelving. Perfect for ambushes. Stay close, Minute J said softly. And trust me. I don't trust anyone. Then trust this. He grabbed her face, kissed her hard. Fierce and claiming and tasting like smoke and danger. When he pulled back, his eyes were molten. Whatever happens, you're mine to protect now. Got it? She couldn't breathe. Couldn't think. Could only nod. Good girl. He released her, turned, became a killer again in an instant. They moved through the warehouse like wraiths. Amara had fought alongside professionals before, but never someone like Minute J. He was brutally efficient, wasting no movement, no bullets. Every shot was fatal. Every decision instant. He wasn't just a mafia boss. He was a predator. And somehow, impossibly, she'd never felt safer. They reached the vault at the warehouse's heart. Minute J punched in a code, the steel door hissing open. Inside was a room filled with filing cabinets, computer servers, and, is that what I think it is? Amara stared at the wall of photographs, documents, recorded conversations. Leverage. Minute J began pulling hard drives. Every dirty secret in Seoul's power structure. Every crime the elite thought they buried. I've spent 5 years collecting this. Why? He looked at her, something raw in his expression. Because power without information is just violence. And I'm building something that will outlast violence. Before she could respond, an explosion rocked the building. They're bringing it down. Minute J shoved the drives into a steel case. We've got maybe 2 minutes. They ran. The warehouse collapsed behind them in sections, steel beams shrieking as they fell. Amara felt the heat of secondary explosions, the concussion waves pushing her forward. Minute J's hand found hers in the chaos. Held tight. Didn't let go. They burst through a loading dock door just as the final explosion turned the warehouse into an inferno. Minute J pulled her down, covered her body with his as debris rained around them. When the world stopped shaking, she realized she was trembling. Hey. His voice was soft now, all the coldness gone. He brushed soot from her face with surprising gentleness. You're okay. You're with me. Those men died because someone betrayed you. Those men knew the risks. But his expression was grim. This is my world, Amara. Violence and betrayal and blood. Are you sure you want any part of it? She should say no. Should run while she still could. Instead, she kissed him. Desperate and hungry and tasting like ashes. His arms wrapped around her, pulling her flush against him, one hand tangling in her hair. The kiss was fierce, claiming, full of adrenaline and something deeper. When they broke apart, both breathing hard, his forehead rested against hers. "That's a yes, then," he murmured. "Shut up." He laughed, actual, genuine laughter. "You're going to be the death of me, Amara Chen. Get in line." The betrayal revealed. Minute J's surviving men regrouped at a secondary safe house, a luxury apartment in Gangnam that looked like any other wealthy businessman's home. Except for the weapons cache in the bedroom and the surveillance equipment in the study. Amara cleaned the cuts on her arms while Minute J worked his phone, making calls, consolidating power, hunting for his traitor. "Boss." Ji-hoon entered, face pale. "We found him." "Who?" "Lieutenant Park. He was the one who gave the access codes. We caught him trying to flee to Busan." Minute J's expression went arctic. "Bring him here." 30 minutes later, they dragged a blooded middle-aged man into the apartment. Amara had seen enough violence to recognize a man who knew he was dead. "Why?" Minute J's voice was soft. Deadly soft. They have my daughter." Park was crying. "Please, boss. The Choi Syndicate took her. Said they'd kill her if I didn't. So you sold me out. Killed my men. Destroyed my warehouse." Minute J crouched in front of him. "For what? A promise from people who murder for profit." "My daughter is already dead." Minute J's words were a death knell. The Choi Syndicate doesn't leave witnesses. They would have killed her the moment you gave them the codes. Park's face crumbled. No, you're lying." Minute J pulled out his phone, showed him a photo. Amara couldn't see it, but Park's anguished wail told her everything. "You killed those men for nothing," Minute J said flatly. He stood, pulled his gun. "Wait." Amara stepped forward, surprising herself. He was trying to save his child. He chose wrong. Minute J didn't look at her. "In my world, loyalty is absolute. There are no excuses." "Then your world is sick." Now he looked at her. Something flickered in his eyes. "Yes, it is." He handed her the gun. "So you do it. If you think mercy is warranted, show him mercy. If you think justice demands blood, take it." She stared at the weapon. At the broken man on the floor. At Minute J's cold, beautiful, terrible face. "This is a test," she said quietly. "Everything is a test." He stepped closer, his hand covering hers on the gun. "But know this, whatever you choose, I'll stand with you. That's what it means to be mine." Amara looked at Park. Thought about the daughter who died because her father loved her. Thought about all the violence she'd done in her own life, all the justifications and rationalizations. She lowered the gun. "Get out of Seoul," she told Park. "Disappear. If I ever see you again, I won't be merciful twice." Park scrambled away, sobbing his thanks. When the door closed, Minute J smiled, not the dangerous smile, but something real. "Interesting choice." "You disagree." "I think you're the first person in 5 years who surprised me." He took the gun from her, set it aside, pulled her close. "I think I'm falling for you, Amara Chen. And that terrifies me more than any assassin." She should pull away. Should remind him they barely knew each other. Should protect what was left of her heart. Instead, she kissed him again. Softer this time. Sweeter. Full of promise and danger in equal measure. "This is insane," she whispered against his lips. "Absolutely." His thumb traced her jaw. "But I've never felt more alive." They stood there in the quiet apartment, the city lights of Seoul painting them in gold and shadow, two people who'd found something impossible in the middle of violence. And neither one noticed Ji-hoon burst through the door, face white with panic. "Boss, it's the Choi Syndicate. They're moving on all your territories." But that's not the worst part. What could be worse? The leader. "Boss, we got confirmation." Ji-hoon looked like he'd seen a ghost. "It's your brother." The color drained from Minute J's face. Amara felt her stomach drop. "Your brother? He's dead." Minute J's voice was hollow. "He's been dead for 3 years. I watched him die." "Then who the hell is leading the Choi Syndicate?" Ji-hoon pulled up a surveillance photo on his tablet. The man in the image was older, harder, scarred, but unmistakably shared Minute J's features. Kang Jun-woo, Minute J whispered. My brother. My enemy. He looked at Amara, something breaking in his expression. And he's coming for everything I've built. The people we love can become the ghosts that haunt us. The gun was still warm in my hand. Lieutenant Park's body lay at Minute J's feet, a dark pool spreading across the marble floor of the penthouse. 3 shots. Clean. Efficient.
No hesitation.
That's what you did to traitors in his world. Amara. Minute J's voice cut through the ringing in my ears. Look at me. I couldn't. My hands were shaking, not from fear, but from the realization that I'd just watched him execute a man who'd eaten at his table, laughed at his jokes, sworn loyalty with blood. And I hadn't flinched. What am I becoming? Amara. Closer now. His hand cupped my jaw, tilting my face up. Those dark eyes searched mine, and for once, the cold ruthlessness was gone. Are you okay?
I'm fine, lead.
Just another Tuesday night, right? Betrayal, bullets, bodies. Stop. His thumb brushed my cheek, and I realized it was wet. When had I started crying? You don't have to be strong right now. Not with me. The tenderness in his voice nearly broke me.
Minha e.
His lips crashed against mine, desperate and fierce. Not the calculated kisses from before. This was raw. Hungry. Like he was trying to anchor himself to something real in a world built on lies. I kissed him back just as hard, my fingers tangling in his hair. The gun clattered to the floor. Don't leave me, he whispered against my mouth. Everyone leaves. Everyone betrays. But not you. Say it. My heart twisted. How could a man who ruled Seoul's underworld sound so broken? I'm not going anywhere, I breathed. It should have felt like a lie. After all, I'd spent 3 years running, never staying, never trusting. But with him, in this blood-soaked penthouse with a traitor's body cooling at our feet, it felt like a promise. 2 hours later, the cleanup crew had come and gone. Park's body vanished. The blood scrubbed away. Like it never happened. That's how this world worked. Evidence disappeared. Witnesses stayed silent. And life moved on. I stood in Minute J's study, wrapped in one of his shirts that hit mid-thigh, watching him pour whiskey with steady hands. The same hands that had pulled the trigger. The same hands that had touched me with impossible gentleness. You should rest, he said, handing me a glass. His fingers lingered on mine. It's been a long night. I've had longer. I took a sip, letting the burn ground me. Besides, I want to understand. Park was your second in command. How did you miss it? Something flickered in his eyes. Pain? Regret? I trusted him. He turned to the window, looking out at Seoul's glittering skyline. My father always said trust was a luxury we couldn't afford. I thought I knew better. Your father, I repeated slowly. This was the first time he'd mentioned family. Is he dead? 5 years ago. His jaw tightened. Along with my brother. The words hit me like a punch. Brother. You had a brother. Hyun-woo. Minute J's voice went flat, emotionless. The mask was back. Older by 2 years. He was supposed to inherit everything. But he got himself killed in a gang war, and the empire fell to me. My pulse quickened. Hyun-woo. That name. No. It couldn't be. How did he die? I heard myself ask. Minute J's shoulders tensed. Does it matter? He's gone. It matters to me. He turned, studying me with those 2 sharp eyes. Why? Because 7 years ago, I watched a man named Kang Hyun-woo order the execution of 2 aid workers in Lagos. My parents. He'd smiled while they begged for their lives, then put bullets in their heads himself. The reason I became an assassin. The face that haunted my nightmares. Minute J's brother. Amara. He was in front of me now, concerned. You're pale. What's wrong? I forced a smile. Nothing. Just tired like you said. Liar. You're a liar. But what was I supposed to say? Hey, your dead brother murdered my parents, and I've spent 7 years training to kill him, only to fall for you instead? Come here. He pulled me into his arms, and I went, hating myself. His heartbeat was steady against my ear. Safe. Solid. I know this world is brutal. I know what I am. But with you, I want to be better. Minute J. I'm falling for you, Amara Chen. His voice was quiet, almost vulnerable. Tell me I'm not insane. Tell me you feel it too. I did. God help me, I did. But how could I love the brother of the man who destroyed my life? I feel it, I whispered. Another lie. Another truth. This was getting too complicated. The next morning, I waited until Minute J left for a meeting before I started searching. His study was meticulously organized. File cabinets, locked drawers, a wall safe. For someone who lived in constant danger, he was almost obsessively tidy. Focus. Amara. Find something. Anything. I picked the lock on the bottom drawer in 30 seconds. Inside, folders labeled by year, documents in Korean, ledgers tracking money flows. And a photograph. My hands trembled as I pulled it out. 2 boys, maybe 16 and 18, arms around each other's shoulders. Both handsome, both smiling. The younger one was unmistakably Minute J. Same sharp features, same intense eyes. The older one. No. I recognized that face. Even smiling, even young and carefree, I'd recognize it anywhere. Kang Hyun-woo. The man who murdered my parents. Minute J's beloved brother. The photograph slipped from my fingers. 7 years. 7 years of training, hunting, surviving, and I'd fallen for the family of my parents' killer. This can't be happening. Find what you were looking for. I spun around. Minute J stood in the doorway, expression unreadable. I thought you had a meeting. I did. It ended early. He stepped into the study, closing the door behind him. I came back to surprise you. Instead, I find you picking locks and going through my private files. Busted. Minute J, I can explain. Can you? His voice was dangerously soft. Because from where I'm standing, it looks like you've been lying to me. Using me. No. I stopped.
What are you doing with those
What could I say
files?
that wasn't a lie?
I had to.
He crossed
You
the
left me
room
no
in
choice.
3 strides, backing me against the desk. Not threatening, but intense. Who are you really, Amara Chen? What do you want from me? The truth sat on my tongue, heavy and sharp. Your brother killed my parents. The words fell into silence like stones into water. Minute J's face went blank. What? 7
The
years
truth
ago.
is about Lagos.
Lagos,
I was
Nigeria.
there. I saw
2
what
aid
happened.
workers executed by a
so
Korean
sorry.
gang enforcer. My voice shook. Kang Hyun-woo pulled the trigger himself. I watched from a closet where my mother had hidden me. He staggered back like I'd slap him. No. Hyun-woo wouldn't. He did. I saw his face. I've memorized every detail for 7 years. Tears burned my eyes. That's why I became what I am. To find him. To make him pay. He's dead, Minute J said hoarsely. You can't. I know. And then I met you. Saved you. And somehow. I laughed bitterly. Somehow I fell for the brother of the man I've spent my entire adult life hating. Minute J stared at me like I was a stranger. Maybe I was. You used me, he said finally. This whole time. No. I grabbed his arm. At first, maybe I wondered if I could get information. But then I got to know you, and you're not him. You're nothing like him. I'm exactly like him. His voice turned cold. Same blood. Same family. Same world. That's not true. Get out. The words cracked like a whip. I flinched. Minute J, please. I said get out. He wasn't looking at me anymore. Leave. Now. Before I do something we'll both regret. I should have fought harder. Should have made him listen. Instead, I ran. 3 hours later. The motel was cheap, anonymous, and perfect for disappearing. I'd paid cash, used a fake name, and buried my phone in a dumpster 3 blocks away. Standard protocol for going dark. I sat on the scratchy bedspread, staring at the photograph I'd stolen from Minute J's drawer. 2 brothers. 1 smile. A lifetime ago. What now? Hyun-woo was dead. Minute J hated me. I had no mission, no purpose, no. A knock on the door made me freeze. I grabbed the knife from my boot, moving silently to the peephole. A delivery guy with a pizza box. Except I hadn't ordered pizza. Trap. I was reaching for the window when the door exploded inward. Not lockpicking. Not subtle. Just raw force. 4 men poured in, professional, armed, coordinated. I threw the knife at the closest one, got him in the shoulder, grabbed the lamp, smashed it into another's face, and dove for the bathroom. A hand caught my ankle. I crashed down hard. Feisty one, isn't she? That voice. No. No. I twisted around, and my blood turned to ice. Standing in the doorway, very much alive, was Kang Hyun-woo, Minute J's dead brother. My parents' murderer. Hello, little bird, he said with that same cold smile from my nightmares. I've been looking for you. 30 minutes earlier, Min Ji's POV. The study felt empty without her. Minute J stared at the open drawer, at the scattered files, at the photograph lying face up on his desk. Your brother killed my parents. The words echoed in his head like gunfire. He'd known Hyun-woo was ruthless, cruel, everything their father had trained him to be. But murdering aid workers? Innocents? Yes, a small voice whispered. You know he would. Hyun-woo had always been the violent one. The one who enjoyed the power too much, who took pleasure in fear. Their father had called it strength. Minute J had called it psychopathy. And Amara had watched him kill her parents. Yet she'd saved Minute J's life anyway. What kind of person does that? His phone buzzed. Unknown number. Against his better judgment, he answered.
Minjia.
The voice made his blood run cold. Miss me?
Impossible.
Hyun-woo. In the flesh. Well, technically I never left the flesh, but you get the idea. A laugh. That familiar, chilling laugh. Surprised. Minute J's mind raced. You're dead. I saw the body. You saw a body. Very different thing. Hyun-woo sounded amused. Did you really think a few Russian mobsters could kill me?
I'm insulted.
Where are you? Close. Very close. A pause. And I have something of yours. Or should I say someone? Pretty little thing. Your new pet. Very spirited. She killed one of my men with a lamp. I'm impressed. Every muscle in Minute J's body went rigid. If you touch her. You'll what? You send her away, little brother. She's fair game now. Another pause. Although, between us, I think she hates me more than she loves you. Did you know she's been hunting me for 7 years? Something about her parents. Can't quite remember them, honestly. I've killed so many people. The casual cruelty in his voice made Minute J want to scream. What do you want? My empire back. You've been playing king in my absence, but the throne was always mine. Hyun-woo's voice hardened. Meet me at the Dongdaemun warehouse. Midnight. Come alone, and maybe I'll let your little bird fly away. And if I don't, then I'll send her back to you in pieces. Your choice, brother. The line went dead. Minute J stared at his phone, mind working. Hyun-woo was alive. He had Amara. And he wanted the empire back. 3 problems. 1 solution. He started making calls. Amara's POV. The warehouse smelled like rust and old blood. They'd tied me to a chair, professional knots, tight enough to restrict but not quite tight enough to cut circulation. They wanted me conscious. Hyun-woo sat across from me, looking exactly like his photograph but older. Colder. The smile was the same one from Lagos. You don't remember me, do you? I said. He tilted his head. Should I? Lagos. 7 years ago. You killed 2 aid workers. Ah. Recognition dawned. The couple with the cute little clinic. They were in the wrong place, bad timing. Nothing personal. Nothing personal. Rage burned through my fear. They were my parents. Well. He leaned back. That's unfortunate. For you, I mean. I wanted to kill him. Wanted to rip free of these ropes and tear him apart with my bare hands. He saw it in my eyes and laughed. There's that fire. No wonder Minute J likes you. He always had a thing for dangerous women.
Tell me
Hyun Woo
what you
stood,
know.
circling me
You'll
like
get
a predator.
nothing from me.
Tell me,
We'll see how
little
long
bird,
that lasts.
did you break his heart when you told him who you were? Did you see him shatter? Go to hell. Already there, sweetheart. And you're coming with me. He pulled out a gun, the same model he'd used on my parents, and pressed it against my temple. This was it. 7 years of survival, of training, of hunting. And I was going to die in a warehouse just like they had. Any last words? Hyun Woo asked. The door exploded open. Minute J stood in the entrance, flanked by a dozen armed men. His eyes locked on mine, and for a moment, everything else disappeared. Let her go, Hyun Woo. Little brother. Right on time. Hyun Woo didn't move the gun. I was just getting reacquainted with your girlfriend. Did you know she's been planning to kill me? Family dinner would have been awkward. I said let her go. Or what? You'll shoot me. Hyun Woo's smile widened. We both know you don't have the balls. You never did. That's why I was always supposed to inherit. You were supposed to be dead. Details. Hyun Woo shrugged. Now, here's how this works. You give me the empire, I let her live. You refuse, I paint this warehouse with her brains. Simple choice. Minute J's jaw tightened. You think I'd sacrifice everything for a woman I just met? The words were ice through my chest. No. Hyun Woo looked disappointed. Well then. I'd sacrifice everything for the woman I love. Minute J moved. Not fast. Not recklessly. Calculated. Precise. Years of training in a single fluid motion. His shot took out Hyun Woo's knee. The man screamed, gun dropping as he collapsed. Now. Minute J roared. His men flooded in. Gunfire erupted. Hyun Woo's men returned fire, but they were outnumbered and outgunned. Through the chaos, Minute J reached me. His hands were shaking as he cut the ropes. I'm sorry, he breathed. I'm so sorry. I should never have sent you away. Talk later. Survive now. He smiled, actually smiled, and handed me a gun. We fought back to back, just like the warehouse 2 days ago. Except this time, it wasn't survival. It was personal. Hyun Woo dragged himself toward the exit, leaving a blood trail. I broke from Minute J and sprinted after him. Amara. I didn't stop. Caught Hyun Woo in the alley behind the warehouse. He was propped against a dumpster, bleeding out, laughing. Gonna kill me, little bird? Avenge mommy and daddy. I raised the gun. My hands were steady. 7 years. Everything had led to this moment. They begged. Hyun Woo wheezed. Your mother cried. Your father tried to bargain. It was pathetic. My finger tightened on the trigger. Do it, he taunted. Become just like me. Become a monster. Amara. Minute J's voice behind me. You don't have to do this. Yes, I do. Then you'll lose yourself. He moved beside me,
Don't move.
his
I
hand
won't
covering
hesitate.
mine on the gun.
Put the gun down. We can
And
talk.
I can't watch
Talk?
that happen.
After what you did?
He killed them, I choked out. He destroyed my life. I know. And he's going to die. Minute J's voice was steel. But not by your hand. Don't let him take that from you too. Tears blurred my vision. Minute J gently took the gun from me, then pressed it into Hyun Woo's hand, aiming it back at us. Self-defense, he said quietly. That's what it'll be. He tried to kill us. We had no choice. Then he pulled the trigger. Hyun Woo's body jerked once and went still. The man who killed my parents. The ghost that haunted me. Finally, truly dead. I collapsed against Minute J, and he caught me, holding me tight as I shattered. I've got you, he whispered. I've got you, and I'm never letting go. 2 hours later. The cleanup crew had come and gone again. Bodies removed. Evidence erased. Business as usual in Seoul's underworld. Minute J and I sat in his car, parked overlooking the Han River. Neither of us had spoken since leaving the warehouse. I lied to you, I said finally. I know. I used you. At first. I know. Your brother killed my parents, and I know, Amara. He turned to face me. I know everything, and I don't care. How can you not care? Because Hyan Wu was a monster. Because you saved my life anyway. Because when I look at you, I don't see revenge or lies or the past. His hand cupped my face. I see my future. If you'll have me. Minute J, we are impossible. We are inevitable. He kissed me softly. From the moment you took that bullet, you were mine. And I was yours. Everything else is just noise. I kissed him back, tasting salt and smoke and something that felt dangerously like hope. So what now? I asked against his lips. Now. He smiled. Now we burn it all down and build something new. Together. That's dramatic. I'm a dramatic person. I laughed, really laughed, for the first time in days. He pulled me into his lap, and we sat there watching the city lights reflect off the water. Two broken people. One impossible love. Maybe it wouldn't work. Maybe we'd destroy each other. But maybe, just maybe, we'd survive. Epilogue. 3 days later. I was packing the last of my things from the motel when my burner phone rang. The one only 2 people had the number to. Both were supposed to be dead. Hello. Agent Chen. It's been a while. I went cold. That voice. That British accent. Director Hayes. The one and only. Though I go by different names these days. One must adapt. A pause. I heard about Lagos. About Hyan Wu. Congratulations on your closure. What do you want? Your handler failed to eliminate you as ordered. That's problematic. My blood turned to ice. Ordered by who? By me, dear girl. You were supposed to die in Lagos with your parents. The fact that you survived has caused significant complications. What the hell are you talking about? Project Nightingale. Your parents stumbled onto it. They had to be eliminated. You were collateral damage. Hayes sighed. But then you became an inconvenience. An assassin we couldn't quite track down. Until you showed up in Seoul with Kang Minute J. You're insane. I'm feral. There's a difference. Keys clacking in the background. I'm sending someone to finish what should have been done 7 years ago. Nothing personal. Just business. The line went dead. I stared at the phone, mind racing. Project Nightingale. My parents' deaths weren't random. They were targeted. And whoever Hayes was, he wanted me dead too. I grabbed my bag and ran. But as I hit the street, I realized I wasn't running away this time. I was running toward something. Toward someone. Minute J answered on the first ring. Amara. What's wrong? We have a problem. A big one. Tell me. So I did. And when I finished, his voice went dark and dangerous. Come home. We'll face it together. Home. Such a strange word. But as I headed toward Minute J's penthouse, toward the man I loved, toward the impossible future we were building, it felt right. End. Love isn't safe. But neither am I. I burst through Minute J's penthouse door like the hounds of hell were chasing me. Which, technically, they were. Minute J. I shouted, dropping my bag. We need to. I stopped dead. The entire living room was filled with roses. Not a few bouquets. I'm talking wall-to-wall, ceiling to floor, every surface covered red roses. Thousands of them. And standing in the middle of this floral explosion, looking ridiculously handsome in a black suit, was Minute J holding a small velvet box. You're late, he said with that devastating smile. I blinked. Did you hear anything I said on the phone? About the assassin? The conspiracy? The very real threat to my life? I heard every word. He walked toward me through the roses. I also heard you call this place home. That was more important. Minute J, this is serious. So am I. He opened the box. Inside was a necklace that probably cost more than a small country. A diamond pendant shaped like a shadow. Elegant, dangerous, beautiful. Just like us. Are you insane? I breathed. Someone is coming to kill me, and you're buying jewelry. Someone is trying to kill you, he corrected, fastening the necklace around my throat. His fingers lingered on my skin. There's a difference. And yes, I bought jewelry. Also a penthouse in your name, a black card with no limit, and a private island off Jeju. But we can discuss real estate later. I stared at him. You bought me an island. You said you wanted to disappear sometimes. Now you can. In style. He kissed my forehead. Also, I have snipers on every rooftop within a mile, a full security team monitoring all entry points, and I may have hacked into Interpol's database to find out who Director Hayes really is. Of course he did. And? I prompted. Former MI6, went rogue 15 years ago, runs a private military contractor that does very illegal things for very rich people. Project Nightingale was a pharmaceutical trial, using unwitting civilians in third world countries as test subjects. His jaw tightened. Your parents found evidence. They were eliminated. The casual way he said it made my blood boil. Where is he? Seoul. He flew in this morning. Minute J's eyes went dark. He's bringing his best operative to finish you. A woman known as the Widow. Very creative name. When? Midnight. They've tracked you here. He pulled me closer. Which is exactly what I wanted. I should have been scared. Should have been planning escape routes and contingencies. Instead, I was distracted by how good he smelled. Focus. Amara. Assassins first, make-out sessions later. So what's the plan? I asked. His smile turned wicked. We throw a party. 11:47 p.m. Minute J's penthouse was packed. Seoul's elite crowded the space. Business moguls, politicians, celebrities, and a suspicious number of very well-dressed people who were definitely carrying weapons. Remind me why we are hosting a party when someone's trying to kill me. I whispered, nursing champagne. Minute J's arm wrapped around my waist. Possessive. Because the Widow is a ghost. She only strikes when you're alone, vulnerable. So we make sure you're never alone. And the 50 armed guards disguised as waiters. Insurance. He pressed a kiss to my temple. Plus, I wanted an excuse to see you in that dress. I looked down at the designer gown he'd had delivered, black silk that hugged every curve, with a slit up to my thigh. Probably cost more than my first car. You're incorrigible, I muttered. You're stunning. His hand slid lower on my back. Dance with me. Minute J, we should be focused. We are focused. On looking like a couple celebrating their engagement. I nearly choked on champagne. Engagement. He grinned, pulling me onto the dance floor. That's the story I leaked to the press. Kang Minute J, Seoul's most eligible bachelor, off the market. Should hit the news in about. He checked his watch. 3 minutes. You're unbelievable. You love it. Damn it, I did. We swayed to the music, his body pressed against mine, and for a moment I forgot about assassins and conspiracies and death threats. I meant what I said, he murmured against my ear. About the future. About us. Minute J. When this is over, I want you to stay. Not because you owe me. Not because you're hiding. His eyes locked on mine. Because you want to. Because this, us, is real. My heart did that annoying fluttering thing. And if I say yes, then I'll spend every day proving you made the right choice. He spun me, and I laughed despite everything. I'll buy you more islands. Commission art in your honor. Hell, I'll rename my company after you if that's what it takes. You're ridiculous. I'm in love. The words hung between us, terrifying and perfect. Say it back, he demanded softly. Say you love me.
Minha I.
Glass shattered. The music cut off. Screams erupted. A woman stood by the window, petite, blonde, holding a sniper rifle like it weighed nothing. The Widow. Well, well, she said in a crisp British accent. Kang Minute J. You've made this entirely too easy. Minute J moved in front of me instantly. Leave. Now. And I'll let you walk out of here. She laughed. Charming. But I have a contract. Her eyes found mine. Hello, Amara Chen. I've heard so much about you. Wish I could say the same, I shot back. Ah, there's that fire. Hayes said you were spirited. She aimed the rifle. Pity I have to kill you. We could have been friends. Doubtful. I have standards. Minute J's hand squeezed mine. Trust me, his touch said. I did. One question, he called out. Before you try to kill the woman I love. What's Hayes paying you? The widow tilted her head. 5 million. Why? Because I'll pay you 10 million to walk away. She paused. Interesting counteroffer. 15 million, Minute J continued smoothly. Plus immunity from all your outstanding warrants. I have friends in very high places. I could see her considering it. Money talks, after all. 20 million, she said finally. And I want it in writing. Done. Minute J nodded to one of his men. Draw up the contract. Ms. Widow here is switching sides. Just like that, the threat evaporated. The widow lowered her rifle. Pleasure doing business with you. And for what it's worth. She looked at me. Hayes is a bastard. He deserves what's coming. What is coming? I asked. She smiled. You didn't hear this from me, but he's at the Schiller Hotel.
Présidentielle suite.
3 bodyguards, minimal security. A pause. His flight leaves at 6 a.m. After that, he's in the wind. Minute J's expression went cold. Thank you for the information. Thank you for the retirement fund. The widow headed for the door, then stopped. Oh, and congratulations on the engagement. You two are disgustingly cute together. She vanished into the night. The party guests, who'd been frozen in terror, slowly started moving again, murmuring nervously. Minute J raised his champagne glass. Apologies for the interruption, everyone. Just a minor security issue. Please, continue enjoying yourselves. He pulled me toward his private elevator. Where are we going? I asked. To finish this. His jaw was set. Hayes wants you dead. He can deal with me instead.
1:30 a.m. Schiller Hotel.
We didn't storm in with guns blazing. That would have been tacky. Instead, Minute J bought the entire hotel. Mr. Kang. The manager practically fell over himself. We are honored by your acquisition, but at this hour.
Présidentielle suite.
Evacuate everyone on that floor. Now. But sir, we have guests. Minute J placed a briefcase on the counter. Opened it. Stacks of cash gleamed. Now, he repeated. 10 minutes later, the floor was empty. We rode the elevator in silence. Minute J's hand never left mine. You didn't have to buy a hotel, I said. I didn't want collateral damage. He checked his gun. Plus, now we own a hotel. Romantic getaway spot. Even facing danger, he made me smile. The elevator dinged. We stepped out. Hayes' suite was at the end of the hall. 2 bodyguards flanked the door. They saw Minute J and immediately went for their weapons. Big mistake. Minute J moved like water. Smooth, efficient, brutal. 2 shots. Both guards dropped. Excessive, I commented. Effective, he countered, kicking open the suite door. Director Hayes sat at a desk, looking entirely too calm for a man whose assassin had just been bought off and whose bodyguards were unconscious in the hallway. Mr. Kang, he said pleasantly. I wondered when you'd show up. You tried to kill her, Minute J said, voice deadly quiet. Bad decision. Business decision. Hayes shrugged. Nothing personal. It's personal to me. I
7
stepped
years,
forward.
Hayes. Did you think we'd
Why?
forget?
Why kill my parents? Why come after me?
You'll pay.
Hayes sighed like we were discussing the weather. Your parents were naive idealists who stuck their noses where they didn't belong. Project Nightingale was worth billions. They were obstacles. They were people, I spat. They were liabilities. He stood. Just like you. Though I must admit, you've been more trouble than anticipated. Becoming an assassin, surviving this long, seducing career's most dangerous crime lord. I didn't seduce him, I interrupted. I saved his life. And then she stole my heart, Minute J added, which is significantly more valuable than any pharmaceutical trial. Hayes rolled his eyes. How romantic. Unfortunately, it doesn't change the facts. Amara knows too much. She's seen too much. She has to die. No, Minute J said simply. She doesn't. And how do you plan to stop me? Kill me? That just brings more heat. I have contingencies, Mr. Kang. Dead man switches. Associates who'll continue the work. I don't need to kill you. Minute J smiled. I just need to ruin you. He nodded to me. I pulled out my phone and hit play. Hayes's voice filled the room. Project Nightingale was worth billions. They were obstacles. Amara knows too much. She has to die. The confession. Recorded. Crystal clear. That's going to Interpol, MI6, the UN, and every major news outlet in the world, Minute J said. By morning, you'll be the most wanted man on the planet. Your associates will abandon you. Your clients will turn on you. You'll have nowhere to run. Hayes's face went pale. You're bluffing. Am I? Minute J checked his watch. It's already sent. Should hit the news cycle in about 3 hours. I watched Hayes crumble, the arrogant certainty replaced by pure panic. You can't. This will destroy. Everything you built? Yes. Minute J's voice was ice. That's the point. You took her parents. I'm taking your empire. Hayes lunged for a gun on the desk. I was faster. My knife pinned his hand to the wood. He screamed. That's for my parents, I said quietly. And this, I twisted the blade slightly, is for making me spend 7 years looking over my shoulder. Amara, please. Beg all you want. They begged too, remember? Minute J's hand touched my shoulder. He's not worth it. He was right. I pulled the knife free. Hayes collapsed, clutching his bleeding hand. Enjoy prison, I told him. I hear they don't like child killers there. We left him sobbing in his ruined suite.
5 Uhr morgens im NJIS penthouse rooftop.
The sun was rising over Seoul, painting the sky in shades of gold and pink. Minute J and I sat on the rooftop, wrapped in blankets, watching the city wake up. It's over, I said softly. Really over. The threat, yes. He pulled me closer. But we're just beginning. I looked at him, this impossible man who'd bought me an island, hired my would-be assassin, and destroyed my enemy without hesitation. I love you, I said. I should have said it earlier, but I love you. His smile could have lit the entire city. Say it again. I love you, Kang Minute J. Again. You're milking this. Absolutely. He kissed me, soft and sweet and perfect. I love you too. More than empires, more than power, more than anything. We stayed like that, watching Seoul come alive, and for the first time in 7 years, I felt safe. Not because the threats were gone, but because I wasn't facing them alone anymore. 3 months later, the private island off Jeju was even more beautiful than the photos. White sand beaches, crystal water, and a villa that looked like something from a magazine. Minute J had decorated it with more roses, because apparently that was his thing now. What do you think? He asked, coming up behind me on the beach. I think you're showing off. I think I'm in love. He handed me a champagne glass. To new beginnings. To us, I corrected. We clinked glasses and drank, watching the waves. I quit, I said suddenly. He raised an eyebrow. Quit what? The assassination business. The running. The hiding. I turned to face him. I'm done being a ghost. I want to be real. With you. Amara Chen, are you saying you want to be my partner? In crime and in life. Only if the crime is tax evasion. I draw the line at murder now. He laughed, pulling me close. Deal. Though I should warn you, being with me comes with certain expectations. Such as expensive gifts, excessive romantic gestures, possibly too many roses. He kissed my neck. And I'm going to spoil you relentlessly. I can live with that. Good. Because I bought you another present. I groaned. Minute J, you have to stop. He pulled out another velvet box. Not a necklace this time. A ring. A gorgeous, perfect, completely over-the-top engagement ring. Marry me, he said simply. Be my shadow. Be my light. Be my everything. Tears blurred my vision. You already told everyone we were engaged. That was fake. This is real. He got down on one knee in the sand. Amara Chen, will you make me the happiest crime lord in Seoul and be my wife? I laughed through tears.
Will you
That's the
marry me?
worst proposal ever. Is that a
I love
yes?
you.
Yes. Yes.
Will
You
you marry me?
ridiculous, dramatic, wonderful man.
I love you.
Yes. He slipped the ring on my finger
Will you
and
marry
kissed
me?
me like the world was ending. Or maybe like
I
it
love
was
you.
just beginning. Epilogue. 1 year later. The wedding was ridiculous. 300 guests. A cathedral. More roses than I could count. And Minute J in a custom suit that should have been illegal. I walked down the aisle in a designer gown that cost more than my first apartment, feeling like a princess in some twisted fairy tale. When I reached him, he was crying. Actually crying. You're supposed to be ruthless, I whispered. I am. Except with you. He took my hands. With you, I'm just a man in love. The ceremony was beautiful. The vows were perfect. And when we kissed, the entire room erupted in applause. At the reception, Minute J pulled me onto the dance floor. Mrs. Kang, he murmured. I like the sound of that. Don't get used to it. I'm keeping Chen professionally. You can keep whatever you want, as long as you keep me. I looked around at the celebration, at the life we'd built from bullets and blood and impossible odds. I'm not going anywhere, I promised. And I meant it. Because this wasn't a fairy tale. It was better. It was real. And it was ours. The end. Post-credits scene. 6 months after the wedding. Amara sat in Minute J's study, feet up on his desk, eating ice cream straight from the container. Minute J walked in, stopped, and stared. Is that coffee ice cream? At 9 in the morning. Don't judge me. She took another spoonful. I've earned it. I'm not judging. I'm concerned. He moved closer, eyes narrowing. Amara, when was your last period? She froze, spoon halfway to her mouth. Oh my God. Minute J's eyes went wide. Are you? I might be. They stared at each other. Then Amara grinned. Guess you're about to spoil 2 people now. Minute J's whoop of joy could probably be heard in Busan. He picked her up, spinning her around, laughing like a kid. We are having a baby, he breathed. We are having a baby. We don't know for sure yet. I'm buying a nursery. 5 nurseries. A whole baby store. He was already pulling out his phone. And baby-proofing the penthouse. And hiring the best doctors in. Minute J. Breathe. He stopped, looked at her, and kissed her softly. I love you so much it's actually terrifying. Good, she said. Terrifying is kind of our thing. And as they stood there, planning their future, one thing was certain. Their story wasn't over. It was evolving. Into something even more beautiful. The real end. Or is it? Winking face. Author's note. Thank you for following Amara and Minute J's journey from that first bullet to their happily ever after. Their story proves that even the darkest shadows can find light, and that love, real love, is worth every risk. Will there be more stories in the Soul Shadow universe? Only time will tell.